Okay, so you want to own a bakery. There's a line out the door. People are waiting 10, 15 minutes just to buy a croissant, a muffin, a loaf of bread. The display cases are full of products that cost $2 to make and sell for $8. Customers are buying multiple items. A single customer transaction is $20, $30, sometimes $50. The owner is standing behind the counter, barely doing anything, just taking orders and ringing people up. It looks like pure margin. It looks like money printing. People tell you stories about successful bakeries. They open at 5 a.m., close at 6 p.m., and because they sell out every day, they're making $300,000, $400,000 per year in profit. They tell you that artisan bakeries in affluent neighborhoods are recession-proof because people always buy bread. They tell you that unlike restaurants, bakeries have high margins because you're selling prepared food. That you don't need to seat customers or manage a dining room. That the business model is simple. Find a location, buy some ovens, hire a baker, and watch the money come in. It sounds like owning a small factory that prints money on a timer. Bake early. Sell during the day. Close down. Repeat. It sounds like owning a bakery in 1950 when neighborhood bakeries were community institutions and people bought fresh bread every single day because they had no other option. That is exactly the comparison people are making right now. The bakery industry in the United States generates over $35 billion annually. There are approximately 6,000 commercial bakeries across the country. Artisan and specialty bakeries have exploded in growth over the past 15 years. Instagram made beautiful baked goods a cultural phenomenon. People pay $8 for a single sourdough loaf. They wait in lines for croissants. Premium bakeries in Brooklyn, San Francisco, and Austin have become tourist destinations. Whole Foods and high-end grocery stores are desperately seeking local bakery partnerships. So naturally, you assume owning a piece of this must be like owning a license to print money. The demand is visible. The margins look enormous. The business model is proven. But here's what is actually happening on the ground, inside these bakeries when the cameras are off and the profit and loss statements are open. The reality of owning a bakery is completely different from what the Instagram photos suggest. Some bakery owners are genuinely making substantial money. Many more are barely surviving. And a significant number are quietly losing it. The gap between the three groups comes down to a handful of things that almost nobody explains before you sign the lease and buy the ovens. By the end of this, you will know exactly where the money comes from, where it disappears to, what the hidden costs really are, and what separates the bakeries that thrive from the ones where owners are working 70-hour weeks just to pay down debt. What a bakery actually sells. The first misconception: people assume that owning a bakery means you're selling baked goods. You are. But that's not what generates the profit margin. If you're selling only baked goods at standard bakery markups, the margins are modest. A croissant costs roughly 80 cents to $1.20 to produce when you factor in flour, butter, yeast, and labor. Most bakeries sell that same croissant for $4 to $6. That's a 400% to 500% markup. Sounds phenomenal until you subtract the costs that people don't count. What a bakery actually sells is convenience, quality perception, and routine. People don't buy bread because they calculated that homemade bread has the best macronutrient ratio. They buy bread because it's there, it smells good, and they've developed a habit of buying from that specific location. The bakery that succeeds is the one that captures daily habit purchasing. The customer who buys a coffee and a croissant every weekday morning. The neighborhood resident who buys bread every Friday. The office worker who stops by on Tuesday for a muffin. These are habit purchases, not rational economic decisions. This is where the profit actually comes from. Not from tourists taking Instagram photos. From locals who show up consistently and spend $15 to $25 per week, 52 weeks per year for years. This is crucial. The bakery with a line out the door on Saturdays but empty during weekdays is not making money. The bakery with steady foot traffic from Tuesday through Thursday, consistent weekend traffic, and solid weekday mornings is making money. The visibility of a busy Saturday doesn't translate to profitability. Consistent average daily sales across all operating hours does. The full upfront investment, what actually costs money. Everyone talks about the cost of ovens. Nobody talks about everything else that costs money before you bake a single loaf. Lease deposit and build out, $30,000 to $100,000 in year one. Most commercial bakeries need ground floor locations with visibility. These locations command premium rent. $3,000 to $8,000 per month is standard in decent neighborhoods. First month, last month, and security deposit immediately consume $9,000 to $24,000. Build out to create a functioning bakery kitchen requires commercial grade installation. You need separate areas for preparation, baking, and retail. You need proper drainage, gas lines for ovens, ventilation systems for heat. A basic build-out costs $30,000 to $60,000. A more sophisticated bakery with multiple stations and modern equipment runs $60,000 to $150,000. Ovens and equipment, $40,000 to $150,000. This is where most bakery owners focus. A commercial deck oven, which is the standard for artisan bakeries, costs $15,000 to $35,000. A rotating convection oven costs $10,000 to $25,000. Most bakeries need multiple ovens or one large multi-deck oven. Mixers cost $3,000 to $8,000. Proofers cost $4,000 to $10,000. Sheeters cost $5,000 to $15,000. Refrigerated cases for display cost $5,000 to $15,000 per unit. Most bakeries have at least 2 display cases. A full equipment package for a serious bakery easily reaches $80,000 to $150,000. Permits and licenses, $5,000 to $15,000. Health permits. Food handler certifications. Business licenses. Electrical and gas inspections. Building permits. Some states require special baking licenses. Health department compliance can require modifications to your space. All of this costs money up front and involves waiting periods. Initial inventory, $8,000 to $20,000. Flour in bulk. Butter. Yeast. Eggs. Sugar. Vanilla. Chocolate. Everything that goes into baked goods. You need enough to sustain operations for 30 days while you're ramping up. Most bakeries underestimate this by 50%. Packaging and supplies, $3,000 to $10,000. Boxes. Paper liners. Bags. Labels. Tissue paper. These costs are continuous, but you need initial stock. Premium packaging costs more and is essential for premium bakeries. A croissant in a plain bag looks different than a croissant in nice branded packaging. Point of sale and technology, $3,000 to $8,000. Register system. Credit card processing setup. Display computer. Scale for weighing items. Reservation system if you're taking orders. Most bakeries now accept cards, not cash. Furniture and fixtures, $5,000 to $15,000. Shelving. Counters. Tables. Chairs if you're adding seating. Lighting. Insurance, $3,000 to $8,000 per year. General liability. Workers' compensation. Product liability. Commercial property. Pre-opening marketing and staff training, $5,000 to $15,000. Local advertising. Grand opening promotions. Training staff on the systems. Salary for staff before opening while they're learning. Working capital buffer, $15,000 to $40,000. Money to cover your own salary and expenses for the first 90 to 180 days while you're ramping revenue. The real total investment. For a legitimate artisan bakery with multiple ovens and a nice retail space, the full upfront investment ranges from $130,000 to $400,000. For a smaller neighborhood bakery with less equipment and a more modest space, $80,000 to $200,000. Most bakery owners finance a portion of this. They take SBA loans. They take personal loans. They use home equity. The debt service on a $250,000 investment at 7% interest over 10 years is roughly $2,925 per month. That's $35,100 per year in interest and principal payments before you've made $1 in profit. Where the money actually goes, the operating cost reality. Once you're open, the costs don't pause. They accelerate. And this is where the bakery business shows its teeth. Labor. 28% to 40% of revenue, realistically 35% to 45% in most locations. This is where bakeries get destroyed. A proper artisan bakery requires a skilled baker. Bakers are expensive. A competent baker making $55,000 to $75,000 per year is common in major markets. You need this person at 4 a.m. preparing dough for the 6 a.m. oven. You also need retail staff. 2 to 4 people working shifts covering opening, midday rush, and closing. At $18 to $22 per hour in most urban markets, that's $4,000 to $7,000 per month in payroll for retail staff alone. Combined with the baker, you're at $6,000 to $10,000 per month in labor for a location doing $15,000 to $20,000 in monthly sales. That's 40% to 65% of revenue before you count benefits, taxes, and unemployment insurance. Raw materials, 25% to 35% of revenue: flour, butter, eggs, sugar, and other ingredients. Unlike restaurants that can shop for deals, bakeries often have less flexibility. Quality ingredients cost more. Organic flour costs more. European butter costs more. Small bakeries can't negotiate bulk pricing like chain operations. A bakery doing $18,000 in monthly sales needs $4,500 to $6,300 in raw ingredients to generate that revenue. That's money out the door daily. Rent, $3,000 to $8,000 per month, typically 15% to 30% of revenue. This is the brutal part. Quality bakery locations command premium rent. Ground floor. High visibility. Foot traffic. A decent location costs $4,000 to $8,000 per month. For a bakery doing $18,000 in monthly sales, that's 22% to 44% of revenue before other expenses. In dense urban areas like New York or San Francisco, rent can be 40% to 50% of revenue, making profitability nearly impossible. Utilities, $800 to $2,000 per month. Bakeries are energy intensive. Ovens run constantly. Refrigeration runs 24/7. The proofer is always on. During winter and summer, HVAC costs spike. An industrial bakery operation easily hits $1,500 to $2,500 per month in utilities. Packaging and supplies, $500 to $1,500 per month. Boxes, bags, labels, tissue paper. This is continuous. A bakery doing $18,000 in sales with 50 transactions per day needs consistent packaging stock. At 30 cents to 50 cents per transaction in packaging, that's $150 to $250 per day, or $4,500 to $7,500 per month. Insurance, $250 to $700 per month, spread monthly from annual premiums. Credit card processing, 2.5% to 4% of card sales. Most bakeries are now 70% to 85% card-based transactions. This fee is non-negotiable. Trash and waste removal, $300 to $600 per month. Commercial waste removal is expensive. Cleaning and maintenance, $300 to $800 per month. Commercial cleaning. Equipment maintenance. Repairs when things break. Technology and software, $200 to $500 per month. POS system subscription. Accounting software. Website hosting if you have e-commerce ordering. Professional services, $100 to $400 per month. Accounting. Legal consultation. Tax prep. The monthly cost reality for a typical bakery: revenue, $18,000 per month. A solid mid-sized neighborhood bakery. Text labor, 38%, $6,840. Raw materials, 30%, $5,400. Rent, 22%, $3,960. Utilities, $1,200. Packaging/supplies, $750. Insurance, $400. Credit card processing, $500. Waste removal, $400. Cleaning/maintenance, $500. Technology, $300. Professional services, $200. Total operating costs, $20,450. Wait. Total costs are $20,450. Revenue is $18,000. This location is losing $2,450 per month. That's a $29,400 annual loss before debt service, before owner salary, before taxes. This is the bakery trap. The numbers look good in theory. But when you actually operate a bakery with real employees, real rent, Real ingredient costs, the math collapses. How bakery owners actually survive. The hidden revenue streams. Bakeries that are profitable aren't surviving on baked goods alone. They've layered in additional revenue streams that most bakery business plans completely ignore. Cafe operations. Coffee and beverages. The highest margin item in most bakeries is coffee. A coffee costs 80 cents to produce and sells for $3 to $5. Customers who buy a croissant also buy coffee. Bakeries that operate a cafe can push beverage revenue to 30% to 40% of total sales. On an $18,000 location, coffee could represent $5,400 to $7,200 in additional margin. That completely changes the economics. Wholesale distribution to restaurants and cafes. Many successful bakeries don't just operate a retail location. They sell to other businesses. A restaurant buys croissants at wholesale, $2 each, to sell to customers, $6 each. The bakery makes pure margin on wholesale, while keeping their retail locations staffed with the same people. Wholesale can represent 20% to 40% of revenue for bakeries with production capacity. Custom orders and wedding cakes. Custom cakes, wedding cakes, and special orders command premium pricing. A wedding cake that costs $150 in ingredients sells for $600 to $1,200. A custom birthday cake costs $40 in ingredients, sells for $200. These orders are often high margin, low volume revenue that significantly impacts profitability. Catering and event services. Bakeries can provide catering for events. Donuts for office meetings. Pastries for corporate events. Bread baskets for weddings. The margin is lower than retail, but the volume can be substantial, and the per transaction size is much higher. Online ordering and shipping. Increasingly, bakeries are selling online and shipping nationally. Artisan sourdough loaves shipping nationwide for $18 to $25 per loaf. Macarons shipping for $3 to $5 per piece. Specialty items like that generate enough margin to justify shipping costs. Online revenue is also typically 40% to 60% margin because you're not paying retail store rent. Retail partnerships. High-end grocery stores, Whole Foods, farm markets, and other retailers will stock bakery products on consignment. The bakery gets 40% to 60% of the retail price but doesn't have to operate the location. A bakery making $5,000 per month in wholesale placements is generating margin with minimal additional operational costs. The bakery that actually works financially. Your location does $18,000 in retail sales. But you also operate a cafe with coffee and espresso drinks, which adds $7,000 in monthly revenue, high margin. You have a wholesale account with 3 local restaurants, generating $3,000 per month in revenue. You take custom cake orders, which add $2,000 per month on average, very high margin, since most ingredients are already in-house. You have a small online shop that generates $1,500 per month in shipping revenue. Total revenue, $31,500 per month. Operating costs remain roughly the same because you're using the same staff, equipment, and location. Text labor, 28% $8,820 raw materials, 28% $8,820 rent, 22% $6,930 utilities, $1,500 packaging/supplies, $1,200 insurance, $500 credit card processing, $900 waste removal, $600 cleaning/maintenance, $700 technology, $400 professional services, $300 total operating costs, $30,770. Net profit, $730 per month, $8,760 per year, before debt service. After debt service of $2,925 per month, you're losing $2,195 per month. You're still underwater. But wait. You're also pulling a salary. Let's say you pay yourself $25,000 per year, which is $2,083 per month. You're actually losing $4,278 per month overall. The bakery that actually succeeds has to do it differently. The bakery that actually becomes profitable, same bakery, but you've made different decisions. First, you negotiated a lower rent. Instead of $3,960 per month, you're paying $3,200 per month. You found a location in a neighborhood with lower rents but still decent foot traffic. Second, you've hired efficiently. Instead of a full-time baker, you've partnered with a local baker who works 3 days per week, providing pre-made dough and finished goods. Your labor cost drops to $4,000 per month. Third, you've aggressively pursued wholesale. You now have accounts with 6 restaurants, generating $8,000 per month in wholesale revenue. Fourth, you've established an online business that's generating $3,500 per month. Fifth, you've minimized custom orders to only high-margin items, generating $3,000 per month. Total revenue, $40,500 per month. Text labor, 20% $8,100 raw materials, 28% $11,340 rent, 8% $3,200 utilities, $1,200 packaging/supplies, $1,500 insurance, $500 credit card processing, $1,200 waste removal, $600 cleaning/maintenance, $600 technology, $400 professional services, $300 total operating costs, $28,940 net operating profit, $11,560 less debt service, $2,925 less owner salary, $3,000 actual net profit, $5,635 per month, $67,620 per year. Now the bakery is genuinely profitable. But notice what had to happen. The successful bakery wasn't just selling baked goods. It was managing multiple revenue streams. It negotiated effectively on rent. It optimized labor. It built wholesale relationships. It created an online presence. This is a completely different business from own a bakery retail location. What separates profitable bakeries from struggling ones? It's not the quality of the baked goods, although that matters. It's not luck or Instagram popularity, although that helps. It's specific operational decisions made before opening and during the first year. Location economics. The profitable bakery either negotiates exceptional rent or chooses a location where rent is reasonable relative to foot traffic. The struggling bakery pays premium rent in an aspirational neighborhood, expecting that the neighborhood will drive foot traffic. Most of the time it doesn't. Revenue stream diversification. The profitable bakery has 3 to 5 revenue streams: retail, wholesale, online, custom orders, catering. The struggling bakery relies on retail foot traffic alone and assumes that's enough. Labor efficiency. The profitable bakery either owns their production or partners with a baker who provides flexibility. They don't employ a full-time baker at $70,000 per year if they can't support it with volume. The struggling bakery hires expensive staff before they have volume to support those salaries. Realistic financial projections. The profitable bakery assumes conservative revenue and higher operating costs than theory suggests. They build in contingency. The struggling bakery assumes best-case scenarios and assumes they can absorb costs better than reality allows. Product mix discipline. The profitable bakery focuses on high-margin items and high-volume items. They ruthlessly cut products that take time but generate low margin. They push customers toward beverages and high-margin specialty items. The struggling bakery tries to be everything to everyone and dilutes focus. The good versus bad scenario. The good outcome: you select a bakery location in a secondary commercial area where rent is $3,200 per month. The foot traffic is solid but not premium. Initial investment, $200,000. You finance $150,000 at 6.5% over 10 years. Debt service, $1,755 per month. You operate retail with excellent coffee service, which draws customers. You immediately establish wholesale accounts. You build an online presence. By month 6, you're generating $35,000 in monthly revenue across all channels. After all costs and debt service, you're netting $6,000 per month. Annual take-home, $72,000. Within 7 years, you've paid off debt. Annual cash flow, $9,000 plus per month. You own a profitable business that generates genuine income. The bad outcome: you select a prestigious location in a trendy neighborhood. Rent is $7,000 per month. You assume the neighborhood's reputation will drive foot traffic. Initial investment, $320,000. You finance $250,000 at 7.5% over 10 years. Debt service, $2,951 per month. You hire an excellent baker at $70,000 per year. You launch with premium products. Retail sales plateau at $16,000 per month because foot traffic is lower than expected. You haven't developed wholesale relationships or online presence. After all costs and debt service, you're losing $4,000 per month. You're working 50 hours per week. You're underwater. Most bakeries in this situation close within 3 to 4 years. The hidden cost nobody discusses: food waste. Most bakeries throw away 10% to 20% of what they bake daily. A croissant that costs $1.20 to make but didn't sell is a total loss. A loaf of sourdough that was baked this morning but didn't sell by closing is waste. Some bakeries donate it. Some compost it. But it's gone. That's 10% to 20% of your ingredient costs, generating zero revenue. On $5,400 in monthly ingredient costs, 15% waste is $810 per month or $9,720 per year in pure loss. Skilled bakeries minimize this through demand forecasting. They bake to order. They develop relationships with restaurants that take leftover goods. They price older items for quick clearance. The struggling bakery bakes to fill the case and throws away what doesn't sell. Conclusion: the actual economics of bakery ownership. Owning a bakery is not a passive income business. It's a working business where you must be involved in operations, customer acquisition, and revenue diversification. The bakery doesn't make money selling bread and pastries at retail markups. It makes money by building multiple revenue streams, managing labor efficiently, and occupying a location where rent is justified by foot traffic or wholesale potential. The money in bakeries goes to 4 groups. First, landlords collecting premium rent from high-traffic locations. Second, skilled bakers who command high salaries. Third, bakeries that have diversified beyond retail into wholesale, online, and custom orders. Fourth, bakery owners who have been ruthless about operational efficiency. The separation between bakeries that thrive and those that struggle comes down to decisions made before opening. Location selection that's based on foot traffic data, not aspirations. Revenue stream planning that includes wholesale and online from day one. Labor planning that's realistic about what volume you can actually support. And willingness to accept that a bakery in a premium neighborhood with premium rent is fundamentally more difficult to make profitable than a bakery in a secondary location with lower rent and deliberate wholesale strategy. The bakery is real. Thousands of bakery owners are making substantial money. But that success almost never comes from retail foot traffic alone. It comes from a business that sells baked goods but generates margin through wholesale, online, custom orders, and cafe beverages. The bakery that just bakes and waits for customers to walk in will struggle. The bakery that treats baked goods as the foundation of a diversified revenue business will thrive. Everything else is secondary.